Ghost of Yotei just got some huge updates that have just been released. Recently, the creative directors over at Sucker Punch Productions were on a big press tour and they revealed a ton of details to various outlets. For instance, we have the map size that has officially been confirmed, which might be surprising to some of you. Now, we also have some details that were found recently during the state of play that confirmed that quick loadouts will be added to the game. The developers also spoke about the open world activities and trying to solve the repetitive nature that Ghost of Tsushima struggled with. And Ghost of Yotei Legends has officially been mentioned. We're going to talk about what this means for the future of that mode and so much more, guys. We have a lot to cover. So check the video chapters for easy viewing and let's get started. If you ever game with your friends and have a few drinks, you know how rough the next day can feel. And as I've gotten older, I kind of accepted that if I did some drinking, the next day would just kind of be a disaster. I try to sleep through it most of the time. But when the grind is real, you kind of just have to work through the pain. But that pain can be mitigated thanks to today's video sponsor, Zbiotics. They hit me up about this opportunity. I told them I didn't drink much, but I just so happened to be playing a lot of Beer Kart with my brother. We both took it before we started playing and it worked pretty well. Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. And here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. And it's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. And pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. You can check out Zbiotics pre-alcohol via the link in the description. Ghost of Yotei looks like it's going to be a massive game, but we actually have full details regarding the actual scale and just scope of the game. According to Game Pressure, they posted an article that says, Ghost of Yotei map, devs reveal how big the world will be compared to the first installment and what will change in the open worlds. So to just dive into things, GamePro spoke about the world of Ghost of Yotei with the creative directors of Sucker Punch Productions, Nate Fox and Jason Connell. The developers revealed the size of the map will remain roughly the same as the previous installment. However, some things were done to actually make the world seem much larger than Ghost of Tsushima, with the goal of offering a completely new experience during exploration. According to the creative director, they said this, and I quote, "It's comparable, it is very, very similar. We devoted a lot of time to make the world seem huge, especially whenever you come across these large open areas. That's exactly the impression that we got when we visited Hokkaido, this huge vast place with impressive mountains. It's completely different than Ghost of Tsushima, and that's why it was so important for us to make the world seem big, even if we wanted to have roughly the same area." Game Pressure then went on to say that the map in Ghost of Tsushima has an area of about 12 square miles, so it's not overly big compared to other worlds in other sandboxes. It will be the same in Ghost of Yotei, and the key is supposed to be the pleasure derived from exploration. From everything that we've seen so far about Ghost of Yotei, when I read something like this, it immediately makes me think that they're going to focus more on verticality rather than the large, like, sprawling landscapes that are flat. I mean, the game is called Ghost of Yotei. It's literally about a mountain, Mount Yotei, and the region near it. So if there's like these other elevated areas that you could see out in the distance and it's just massive, but the scale is actually bigger because it focuses more on verticality, that's kind of what I'm expecting to happen. Now, according to Game Pressure, they then said that the creators underline that they love freedom and it has a great significance for them. And that's why with Ghost of Yotei, they've made significant changes. To which they said this: "We love freedom. We love it when players have freedom in how they explore the world. And we wanted to develop this even further in this game. We wanted to give our players more freedom of choice, how they approach the story of revenge, how they get weapons, from whom they get weapons, and in what order they do it." This brings us to a new feature that was just discovered recently. Over on the Ghost of Yotei subreddit, a user actually spotted a mechanic in an image that was shown off during the PlayStation State of Play deep dive. Now, in the in-game image, we can actually see the armor loadout that can be accessed by pressing the square button. If you actually look on the left side, you can see that there's 3 different loadouts. It looks like you can hot swap in between those 3. Now, we're not really sure what this depth is. It could be that this is just like a visual loadout. So like being able to switch between the outfits, that could be all it is. So we really don't know the extent of it. My question is like, are you going to be able to switch between the stuff that's equipped in terms of like your melee weapons and your ranged and your quick fire? Like, will you be able to hot swap things like that? Or is this limited to like switching in between the cosmetics? In my opinion, I think it's probably going to be gear. Now, I know this obviously brings a concern that like, let's say you're playing the game. Are you able to just hot swap your loadout if you just press the start button? And I would say no, I doubt that's going to happen. I think that if you're you're in combat, for instance, you're probably going to be stuck with the current loadout that you're using until you leave combat. And then once that happens, then you could switch between your armor sets as well as like your melee weapon or whatever else is equipped. But honestly, even if it's just for like outfits and cosmetic stuff only, being able to hot swap the armors is actually pretty cool. If you have like a full armor set that you want to use that like vibes with you and you want to save it, then you're able to do that. But again, if I were to guess, I would say that like this entire gear menu, whenever you switch to another one, this entire menu changes. Now, I believe Ghost of Tsushima did have a loadout feature, but it was like a little bit different. Like you had to actually go manually into the menu and then switch between the armor sets. But with this one, it's a hot swap quick loadout feature, which I really like. And I'm sure as we, slowly get more information revealed about Ghost of Yotei, they're probably going to explain more of this stuff, even though I think they should try to be like as silent as possible. They don't have to and shouldn't explain every single feature because like what is there to explore if we play the game and we already know everything? So next up, we have some details from Automaton Japan, where they talked to Ghost of Yotei's co-directors Nate Fox and Jason Connell, and they actually spoke about how they plan on improving the gameplay in Ghost of Yotei and fix some of the repetitiveness of the first game. In the interview, Nate Fox explains that Ghost of Tsushima still holds a special place in their hearts. However, he did admit that the game suffered from some problems with pacing of the exploration and minigame segments of the game. The developers received feedback about some of the gameplay elements feeling too repetitive or monotonous. Quote, Tsushima had various minigames, but sadly some of them, especially the one where you follow a fox to a hidden shrine, don't have much variety and end up feeling like a chore. We felt this from the player feedback as well, Fox detailed. However, it seems like the development team has taken all of the feedback into consideration, stating this: Ghost of Yotei improves the minigame segments in a sense that we won't be making players go through the same thing over and over again whenever their curiosity leads them to encountering new secrets during exploration. We've prepared different kinds of outcomes that could go beyond the player's expectations, and we believe that the beauty of open world games is in the exploration, so we determined to offer players a diverse experience. Some of the mini games that we've seen so far is like one, the iconic bamboo strikes from Tsushima, but it's also going to introduce new mini game options such as painting, the coin flicking game, and I'm sure there's also going to be so many others that we don't even know about yet, all with the goal of making the game feel less repetitive in the open world. I know a lot of people say that like Ghost of Tsushima is like really repetitive, but honestly, my first playthrough, I didn't feel like that at all. I guess it was because like I just took the exploration like really naturally. I wasn't like deliberately seeking out every single thing. So that might be why like my first playthrough was like really effective, because when I did come across something, it felt unique and natural. So next up, one of the best modes from Ghost of Tsushima was Ghost of Tsushima Legends. The prospects of Ghost of Yotei Legends happening is something that everyone wants to know, especially if they've played the Legends mode from before. And for most of the marketing for Ghost of Yotei, we haven't really heard about Legends like at all, but IGN was able to sit down with the creative directors and finally get an answer, one that people might not be the most happy about, but according to IGN, they asked the question, Ghost of Tsushima Legends was objectively awesome. How happy were you with that mode as a team, and is there a possibility to see something like it again for Ghost of Yotei, either at launch or maybe in the far off distant future? To which Nate Fox responded, we were extremely happy with Ghost of Tsushima Legends and allowing players to connect with friends and use their skills fighting with the katana against a variety of enemies. We loved it. Right now, we are very focused on completing Ghost of Yotei to the highest quality possible and put it in players' hands very soon on October 2nd. That is our absolute focus right now. So yeah, there it is. He dodged the question, but he did say that he loved Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which is great news for everyone that loved that mode. It might actually be happening for Ghost of Yotei. It's probably not going to happen at launch. We probably won't get a mode like this until we get like a big DLC update or something like that. Like maybe the first expansion is when we will see the Ghost of Yotei Legends. Now, IGN followed up and said, masterfully answered, what has it been like developing combat based around a whole arsenal of weapons this time around, as opposed to just a katana and the variety of different stances? To which Nate Fox responded, in Tsushima, we really loved our stance system, where the player could choose one of our 4 ways to hold the weapon to combat a particular type of enemy. In Ghost of Yotei, we took that system and we expanded it. Instead of 4 stances, there are now 5. And instead of stances, we took that new system and said it's new melee weapons Functionally, it's the same as stances, but it's more. For instance, if you use a spear, you can use that weapon to knock down enemies backwards in space. So if you're standing near a cliff fighting them, you can knock them off the cliff into the abyss. Works just like stances, but there are extra abilities attached to each weapon to give the player more options. Well, that's going to wrap it up with this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. Do you want Ghost of Yotei Legends to happen? What's your take on the open world being the same size as Ghost of Tsushima? Let me know down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, this has been your boy Wes, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.